And thanks to Coach K for firming up the dough. I'm ready for the journey. So pro. I know there will be highs. I know there will be lows. Road to success got so many toes, but I'm ready for the journey. Yeah, I said I'm ready for the journey. The journey. Hey, it's more than just a game.
My guest of honor is so full of life, and she genuinely loves people. Everyone she crosses paths with cracks a smile and laughs because she makes it her duty to spread joy. She has been married for 7 years, and she's a proud mother of 3. She has her 2 daughters, Imani and Jania, and her fur baby, Kobe. Her biggest accomplishment is completing a degree for every child she has had. She received a BS with her daughter, Imani, and an MS with her youngest daughter. She serves as CSA program coordinator to empower and support our youth that have been sexually exploited. She's determined to break generational curses and produce generational wealth. She's the proud owner of Sweet Infinity Candles, but what really sets her apart is her love for Jesus Christ. Her personal relationship with him has sustained her throughout her life experiences. Now she gets to stand before us as a living testimony that God is real. Today, my guest of honor is Rundee Smith, also known as Rundee MC. How you doing, sis?
Give it up, give it up. I'm doing good.
Good. I'm so happy to have you on here. You know, we've been trying to do it for a little bit, so I'm glad we get to do it in person.
Thank you, thank you. I feel honored. Thank you, K9. Thank you.
But, well, I want to just go ahead and say, you know, that the theme this year is unstoppable. And so I think it's always good to tell people a little bit about your background, because that's going to let them know how you've been able to continue to persist. So tell us where you're from and give us a little bit of your background.
Wow. I'm from Southside, the realest. Hey. So really, I am from the Southside. So born and raised, back and forth between Como and Southside, just the life that I lived. My mom was kind of in and out of jail, but thank God when I was 11, my stepmom adopted me, just a random lady. She thought I was cute, you know, cute, little manageable little girl. She adopted me, and so life shifted. But I do have, it's a lot of us, K9.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some siblings. I think it's 5 of us total. I stopped counting. And then I have one bio sister, but I always call them my sisters and brothers, because like no blood is thicker. It's like love makes you family. Like really, like you my sister too.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else should I say, K9?
Well, we can just start from there, and then I'll ask you a few questions. But yeah, I just want them to know where you were from, because you know we both from the South Side.
Oh yeah, Fort Worth, like
Fort Worth.
It's the little poverty neighborhood. But I do want to just reiterate that I don't even think I knew I grew up in the hood until I was older, y'all. Like I just thought it was home, like home was the bomb.com. But I do want to put a little funny joke in there. I think I was the first kid to go to school like in the hood and still have like country techniques. So my great granny had hens in the backyards, and we was picking up eggs. I was using the washboard in 6th grade, and everybody else was talking about, I went to the washing interior, and I was like, what is that?
What is that?
I was taking clothes on a clothesline in the backyard. So there was a lot of things I'm grateful for. Again, my great grandparents were born in 1912 and 1914. So in 1999, when everybody else was like updated, I was still like backdated. So,
well, I like to say that you learned the real life skills, because you know there's some people who still don't know how to use a washing machine. You know what I'm saying? Like they've been here for all this time and don't know how to wash their own clothes. So the fact that you know how to do it the original way, I think is important.
Man, washing those underwear, them grandparents' underwear. I don't wish that on nobody, but no, I'm so grateful that I got to see that generation. And now that I'm older, I buy brown eggs, which is crazy. When I was younger, I was like, these are boo-boo eggs, because I had only seen white eggs. But now that I'm older, I'm like, man, my granny and them had it going on. They had like they eggs, because eggs cost like $20, y'all. Like
it's a hot commodity now. You got eggs, you are wealthy.
So.
That's good. Tell me, what do you feel like is one of the greatest things you learned from your grandparents, though? You said they were born in early 1900s. So what's something that you can like pull from when it comes to them?
Wow. I know it's from them because it just trickles down, but hard work like nothing is given to you. I'm just so sorry. Like, just this is like the world, but you work for what you want. And so that's anything like working hard in marriage, working hard in parenting, working hard at your job, working hard at getting your education, working hard at being an entrepreneur. Like it is what it is. Like you just gotta work hard. And so the two of them setting the I want to say setting the first leg up. It's like a race.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from Marshall, Texas, to come to Fort Worth, which was the South Side, to be homeowners was like really big. I didn't hear my great grandparents staying in apartments, not knocking nobody,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, oh, they came straight down here and was about business. They got a house, bought their house. To this day, my great uncle, he's 85. He actually stays in the same house that I grew up in and he grew up in, which I feel like that's generational, like just knowledge. So they worked hard for 4 generations to reap what they, work for to actually be able to see that. So
Yeah. That's amazing too. First of all, that talks about how the house was built because it's still standing. That's number one. It's house is not built like that no more, y'all.
no.
They fall down with one good wind. It's over. The house is falling down. But I love that your uncle is still there, and that you've been able to see so many different generations come through that household, and you picked up on things that hard work is the one thing that will always be something that is necessary.
Yep.
You learn how to work smarter, but you still got to know how to work hard. So,
I'm a hustler.
so since we're talking about work, tell me a little bit about how you got into what you do now, because I know well, actually, let's back up real quick. Let's talk about your education and why you chose what you chose to study, and then we'll go to your career.
All right. So believe it or not, I started out in early childhood. And so my oldest daughter, Imani, Lord Jesus, that's my baby. But she was my strong willed kid. But I remember at the time I was going for education and I was trying to learn about children and how their minds just like process. And so I didn't want to whoop my kid all the time. She got a butt whoop, but I wanted to switch the method and learn like the why behind the behavior. Like, why does this kid do that? What makes them do this? Like, what's going on? So I started out at University of Houston and I wanted to go into social work, but I saw you had to do like an intern and I was like, I ain't got no babysitter. At that time I was thinking in the now. So I went to early childhood. Long story short, I finished that and my daughter got older, and so she started acting out more. So early childhood stops at 6th grade, but your kids don't stop growing at 6th grade. So by then, I had my second daughter, and I was like, you know what? I want to learn like more about the older brain. So then I went and got my psychology degree in child and adolescent development to try to see how the brain processes as you get older. You start feeling yourself. So
Don't we all?
I really thought about my PhD too, but Kobe is taking up all my money out. So
Kobe is bougie.
yeah, he's a dog, y'all. So but he's still my baby. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I got started on that track. And I do need to give a shout out because we share the same coach, y'all, in high school. Whoop whoop whoop. Coach David Morrow, whoop. He was the what is the word? He was like a phenomenal example of how to teach and coach at the same time because he was not only like our coach, a father figure, but like he taught me my typing skills. Can't nobody out type me, y'all. So
He did.
when
he
I
did
go,
just
they like
that.
75 words per minute. I'm like QWERTY, KWERTY, ASDF, HJKL, Simicoli. So I knew like I wanted to make an impact in somebody's life because of like some of the things that he did and just previous teachers I had. African American teachers were really big. So I was really blessed to have male teachers that were healthy teachers. So I was like, I want to do the same thing. Little did I know I didn't want to be around kids after I had my own. So
Oh no.
that changed. And so I will fast forward to trying to be obedient to God and figure out what I really wanted to do when I got my degree. I always knew I wanted to work with youth, and then I started saying I want to work with teenagers, like because I was knocked up. I was pregnant when I was a teenager. Can't I know the story? So pregnant senior year, and I was like, I gotta help, somebody so that they understand like it's hard, but there are ways and there are people out here that'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
So I came home from Houston and I started working at like women's center, then I worked at like One Safe Place, and I was a community educator. And so I started out teaching about domestic violence, and then I was like, wait, like this is like dope. Like I'm teaching kids about, this starts in high school or starts in middle school when you like your little boo thing. And so like that, no offense, economy started shifting. I was like, I need to shift up too.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went to sexual assault, and I was still teaching kids. Like I was going to the communities and I was teaching them about, healthy touch, no not healthy touch. And I kept saying, God, you keep putting me around these kids. So what's going on? Got to this job, it'll be 7 years next month. So I always say that's the year of completion, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, woo-saw.
Yeah.
But the topic was so deep because we say it's human trafficking and that's all dandy. I give respect to it, but after I investigated and did my research, I'm like, we gotta start back with slavery. I know that's a deep topic, but I was like, God, if you place me here to help these babies see that there's a better life despite of everything they went through, I'll give it my all. And so my I don't like to say clients because that word is like just get on my nerves. But the girls that I assist, like they real dope. Like they go hard in the paint. But they'll be like, Miss Randy, like, come get me, come get me.
Come get me.
And the one that really touched my heart is if I start crying, can't I wipe my face?
It's
No.
okay.
But the one that touched my heart the most was I had this one girl, she was like, Miss Randy, how can God forgive me and I slept with all these men? And I just randomly bust out and was like, it ain't no different than me having 2 kids before marriage. So, Miss Randy, I was like, no sin is greater than, another sin. But I'm like, I repented and I asked him to forgive me, right? And so she was like, but Miss Randy, and I was like, but you never asked to sleep with them. You were a minor, like you were 11 and 12, and these were adults. And so I remember her saying, well, will he even accept me and his family? And I'm like, girl, yeah. I was like, you want to accept him in your heart right now? And she was like, well, if you serving Jesus like that, I sure do want to serve. I said, come on in,
Come on in here.
So it's always a chance or opportunity to help somebody else. And I just like the fact that I can be authentic and I don't have to be like holier than thou and say, you know what, honey, like you're doing this. But yeah, I hope that summarized my question.
No, first of all, I love though that you get to use your own experience to help them, because I really feel like that's the definition of giving your testimony and like we living it out, because everybody don't get to do that. Or they can do it, but they don't always choose to because they're shameful of it. So I love that you are bold enough to use your story to help them, and you are able to see yourself in them too. Like that's why he put you there.
Tears.
Tears. What do you feel like is the greatest lesson you learned from them, though? Is it authenticity?
I think the biggest thing that I actually learned from them is, and I think I always been like this, but I think because it's a professional field, I can still keep it real. Like, I hope that sound right. So their biggest thing is don't lie to me, don't say anything. So my biggest words are, if the Lord say the same. So I always tell them, I don't know what's gonna happen. I can get hit by a car, but I don't want to tell you like Miss Rundee gonna do X, Y, and Z and this happened. But I always be like, Miss Rundee gonna do her best. And they're like, you know what, I can respect it. So and then they also teach me how to like just give myself grace, because if you see these girls, they are like the strongest people ever and they bounce back. And one thing I can say is like if they do mess up or they do something, they just like, oh well, on to the next day. And I'm like, oh, I need that, because sometimes I know growing up, and I still struggle sometimes. I'm like hard on myself,
Hmm.
and I'm like, you know what? I need to take some of their advice and be like, girl, move on. You messed up, repent, and keep going.
Yeah. The kids do teach us a lot of stuff. Like I feel like, look,
Baby, the truth.
the elders and the kids. It be the adults that be the problem. Like I love the adults, the kids and the grown folks, the elders.
Yes.
So yeah, first of all, I do love that you're in that profession. And even though you detoured because you were like, look, I'm trying to learn, and then God said, well, let me go ahead and move you right over here.
Ooh,
Do you see how what you do helping your own kids? Like, is it helping you with your own kids?
listen, y'all might have me in here crying for real. Um, being in this job actually helped me save my oldest. I'm not gonna say save because that's Jesus' word, but helped me prevent a lot of stuff because the girls I was working with, they would teach me like the lingo and the slang and the up to date thing, because like you get old, right? Like ain't nobody saying get crunk. But
They still doing it.
I learned a lot from the girls I was serving. And so because my daughter at the time was like around their ages, I could catch red flags or I could see things to try to prevent. Now, granted, she probably said I was the meanest mama ever, but I think working with them and learning this job, I prevented just like a different road. And so they came from like social media, they came from friends, they came from boundaries, they came from respect, that just came from like, I'm not going to shift to what the world says do with your kids or and yeah, I just think they helped me, or I'm not going to just say they, but the job helped me in general prevent some things, and it still helps me because I have my youngest daughter. Kobe, he ain't getting on no internet. So,
He
but
gonna be a model. Kobe
it
gonna be a
helps me
model.
with my youngest daughter too, because again, they have new websites that they try to come up with and they try to hide. And I also, I'm an Android person, but I converted to iPhone, wonk wonk. But it helps me just learn both of the, phones and how they hide things and different apps. So yeah, it's keeping me up to date on the laws, the ratchet people that's out there too, keep me up to date on too. So
Yeah. How? What are some things that you could tell other parents that are like watching that they could look out for when it comes to things like that?
let's see. Look out for little Pookie. No, I'm saying, no, real talk. Look out for isolation. Don't let your kids isolate themselves. Like I know people say kids need time, they're adults. Don't shut no door in this house. Come out to have dinner with me. Go in there randomly, go through their pockets, go through their backpacks. And it's not that you don't trust them, but because so many drugs are being made to look normal and simple, that even the innocent kids may take something like an edible hint, and not even know that it's like drugs. So I will just always tell a parent, go with your first instinct. If you are a single parent, get you a village. Like I'm gonna give a shout out to K9. Woo! K9, pick up the kids. If y'all need somebody to pick your kids up, call her. But it takes a village, and I remember at times where I was like, I'm a single parent and it sucks, but my friends came through and like, oh, K9, you can make me cry.
That's our
Um,
baby.
if you got true friends when you raising that baby, use that village, because I can count on like K9, her mom. I have a friend like Tiffany, her parents, like all of these people surrounding my baby. And so where I lacked, or if I didn't have anything, I remember one of my friends, Savannah, exposing my baby to seafood. I couldn't afford no seafood, but it's the simple things,
Look at
just
Sister Mama.
it's the simple things, like get you some healthy friends while you're parenting. And then the other thing is um stay in your Bible. I know that sounds holy, but it's only by the grace of God that I made it. And I know this generation of kids, or the respect level has went down, and I know people say, oh, the generation after is always gonna be worse. And I'm like, Jesus, can you come back? So if you are in a separate home from the other parent, if you can co-parent, even if y'all not together, do that for the sake of the kid. It's not about you wanting to get back with your baby daddy or your baby mama. It's about, hey, what's healthy for the kid. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, that her babies are our babies. When Imani was born, the whole basketball team was like, "Oh, we're gonna have a baby."
Yeah.
You want to tell them
I
about
actually
that?
had that pregnancy. So
She
yeah.
did hide that pregnancy from us. We all was about to have a heart attack. Yeah, we gonna tell that story because we can't even let that one go by real quick. But I co-sign everything she just said. You do need to make sure you have a strong village, regardless if you have a child or not. Like, having good friends and good people around you will change everything that's going on in your life. Like, they'll come get you if you're not doing something right. So
That part.
you need good people in your life. But yeah, let's go ahead and tell these people how you hit a whole pregnancy and we didn't even know. Everybody was just like, wait.
Back in the day, I'm not really So this is so funny. So our coach was like, no boys. And me being the smart person I was like, well, my boyfriend ain't at this school, so he'll never know.
You'll never know.
I want to go back to how naive I was and how the Holy Spirit really had me in his hand before I could even realize. But my freshman year in school, I made a bet with my cousin. Her name is Taniqua Miller, y'all. And we had a bet who was going to stay the virgin the longest. Because I was like, I'm not giving it up, this and that. So we betted. Sophomore year came, we were still tied up. Junior year came, we were still tied up. Senior year, I was pregnant. So y'all know I lost. But my boyfriend was going to another school, and I was like, I'm not having sex like that. I just a little few times or whatever. That's all it take, y'all. Half a time may get you pregnant. But
one time.
I remember me and my friend Savannah was playing with the Navy people in high school because they came to the high school, and I was like, I'm sign up or whatever. And they told us we had to take a pregnancy test, and I was like, that's fine, everybody take pregnancy tests. So then they came back, and remind you, me and Savannah in the same grade, so they came back and told Savannah, oh, I'll see you in like 12 weeks. And then they was like, I'll see you in like 212 weeks. And I was like, dang, I know she was fast in track and stuff, but I'm like, am I that slow in track? Like, why I must didn't run fast enough. And they was like, oh yeah, by the way, your test came back, it was positive. I said, oh no, that's somebody else's urine. So they was like, well, either way, like, we gotta go by this test, you come back in 212 weeks. I was like, I ain't about to do that. I ain't going anyway. So I went across the street one day because it was like a Dollar General down the street. Sorry, talk so fast. I went down there, scraped my little lunch money up, bought me a little pregnancy test, and he came back too. I said, oh no, this is a cheap test. I was like, can't do it. So then somebody was like, it's a pregnancy test right there behind Jack in the Box, because we used to walk across the street to Jack in the Box. So I go over there and they give me this 1950 movie I had to watch. It's about like abortions, etc. And they was like, don't do, this and that. I'm like, I just want to know if I'm pregnant. Like, what is going on? So they make you watch this while they, go do the test or whatever, because they do an actual like urine test and they send it off, whatever, spin it, come back. And they brought me some little booties back, y'all. They was like, congratulations. I was like, what? I was like, what?
Not the booties.
So senior year, we were having fun, y'all. We only had about 6 or 7 games left. Not that many left. It wasn't that many left. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So I go and I'm like, okay, stomach still flat, y'all. I'm still looking cute. You know what I'm saying? Nobody could tell I wasn't sick or nothing.
Definitely couldn't tell.
So then I was like, I started getting a little out of breath, y'all. I was like, woo, but I was like, I'm gonna keep going. And my coach was like, Rundee, what's going on? Get down that court. And I was like, I'm going. So then I think after game 2, I finally came in. I had my friend Tiffany. I was like, Tiffany, listen. I was like, something is in my stomach. And she was like, what? And I was like, it's a baby. She's like, Rundee. I was like, I want to finish the season out. The crazy part is I had a friend in North Crowley. If y'all know her name was Faith Turner back in the day. But she was pregnant too, and she had just told her coach, and her coach kicked her off the team because legally you have to because you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And so I was like, don't say nothing. I was like, I don't want anybody kicking me off, and I'm not going to no pregnancy school, etc. So my friends held it down. I went the
Jesus.
whole season. And every time I fell on the floor or I was out of breath, they was like, and my coach was like, y'all keep running. It ain't that important. And they
It
was like,
is, though.
it is important. But that's when I should have known I was a perseverer, like really, because I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. It's how I felt. But I did finish the season, and I gave birth to my baby after we graduated, which was August. I stayed at Tech the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I was determined, so I was like, I'm gonna do this, even though I fell asleep in my AP class, fourth period every day. I made an A in that class, so I made it. But yeah, that was really unique that I gave birth to my kid right after we graduated.
Man, first of all, her falling on the floor and stuff, the whole bench, oh no. Like, coach, like, what is wrong with y'all? We had to really act. Like, we was trying not to like give it away, but we was stressed. We was stressed.
And I do want to add on, I almost messed up Money Life because I was going to name her T Andrea. It's going to be spelled TII_ANN_DREA. But I was in this group called Ladies of Money at school. And I remember I was like, I like that name. So I changed her name, and I'm so glad I did.
I love her name. Imani is a beautiful name.
I love it.
Like, both of your kids' names are beautiful, but I think it's interesting, like, how we were just talking about this off camera, but I just want to say this real quick. We all have nicknames, right? Yeah. Everybody has a nickname, and her kids know us as our nickname. So tell them what you call me and tell them why.
So I called Katrina K9 because freshman year we were in class, and remind y'all, I told y'all my coach was our teacher before he was our coach. Mm-hmm. So to all the people who have those myths that coaches don't teach, they just go and coach, y'all should have met our coach. So he had us do a game, and he was like, hey, to introduce everybody, I want you to get up and say, something that starts with the name of your letter. And so K9 stands up and she says, hi, my name is Katrina, like K9. And so, of course, I get up and I'm like, hi, my name is Rundee, like Rundee MC. Mm-hmm. But the bell rings, and then I see K9 in the hallway. I'm like, she like, and so I've called her that all of our lives.
For 20 years.
Yeah.
Literally for 20 years now.
Even her mama be like, K9, ready? And it is not a negative name. I know some people looking at it, but that's my boo. My boo. Don't forget that.
I love you too.
And nicknames to me always mean something special, sentimental. It's not just Lil Pookie, you know what? But yeah, so we got a nickname. You making it, okay? You making it.
If you have a nickname, or if I hot side on you, that lets you further know that I love you. Like, if I don't say nothing, you probably shouldn't be around me. You probably be like, if I'm not saying nothing, Trina don't really care for you that much.
Salty.
But no, I don't mind the name. I'm used to it, and I feel like her kids call me that too. So at this point, it's like just her family and her, like, they the only ones who can call me that. Now, if somebody else call me that, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah,
like, don't call me that.
Me. You didn't put in that. Williams, get it right.
You didn't put in the work to do that, the time to do that. But yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about how you want to build this foundation for your kids and your family. You are married. So let's talk about hubby real quick a little bit. Honey bun.
You are my honey bun to the yummy. Okay, so marriage is totally God's plan. It was never Rundee's plan. When I look back, I don't never remember saying I wish I was married when I grew up. I just was like, I wish I have a drop top, 2 dogs, a 2-story house, all of these material things. I really don't believe I ever had a dream where people say, oh, when I was younger, I always wanted to get married and have kids. Believe it or not, I love my children, but I never had any plans to have children either. So, long story short, my husband she gonna make me cry again, y'all. He's a good person. Like I'm still shocked. Like, why you want me? Because I'm crazy. But he has he has worked for me. He has worked for me for real, for real.
We love him.
And I'm not saying I'm like all in the bag of chips, but hey, I'm a queen, you know what I'm saying? But to be married to him is another goal. Like, we're both breaking generational curses, so the tussle is real, like between Satan and just like our flesh and like God's expectations is real. But the marriage is beautiful overall. Like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Remember, just gotta work hard. You gotta work hard for it. And this is not my 3 things is he don't put his hands on me because I can fight y'all. We'll talk about that basketball game, but he don't put his hands on me. He don't, cuss me out. He like these are things that when I was growing up was normalized. Like, you would see people in relationships like my aunts or everybody was single. Like, I don't really have any examples outside of my great grandparents and my great aunt and uncle as marriages. So for me and him, it's like, okay, when he asked me the question, yeah, I was really like still like shocked. And I was like, why did you do this in front of everybody? Like, we could have got married behind the scenes and not told nobody. Like, I was trying to hide it. Not that he was a sneaky link or nothing, but I don't think I was ready mentally, because when you get married, it is really one person. And so what I learned and what I'm learning is I'm a very sweet person. I'm stubborn. Like, I'm so stubborn. Yeah. And I'm selfish when it comes to when it came to boys or men, put it like that.
Mhm.
I was like, you ain't getting my money. You ain't getting this. I work for this, X, Y, and Z. And so I had all of these things where I was like, I don't really care. And so until I got deeper in my spiritual walk, and Jesus was like, well, how can you care about me and you turning down my mission, which is marriage, which is to show, the world example of me. And I'm like, but God, I see single people. He was like, I'm talking about you. And I was like, but he was like, you say you want to be single, but you don't want to do single things, bumping and grinding. And I was like, you know what? I was like, you sure right. I was like, I want to do all this, riding on the pony and stuff, but I don't want to do that. So when we got married, I always tell people sometimes I feel like I did life backwards because I had like kids. I had Wookie, even though Wookie is honey bun. I had her before marriage too. And so I thought it was too late for me to go back and try to get back what the locust took from me. And so I had already started deeming my life from the time I had my oldest, like, you know what, I already messed up. I had a kid out of wedlock. It definitely ain't no like hope for me and, being with somebody. And I don't know who told me this or what movie I watched K9, but I was like, don't nobody want me because I got a kid. Baby, if you got 3 or 4 or 5 kids, if it's the man that God sent for you, he's gonna accept you and your whole package.
Absolutely.
And so, Honey Bun, he is like, he's so sweet, y'all. Y'all just gotta see him. So patient. I have never, although we'll be married 8 years in May, we've been together for 15. I have never seen him raise his voice at me, and I could be petty. I'll be like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. But he's very patient, calm. What marriage doesn't have issues, but we're determined to work through it. And so I love him. I love him. I love him. I don't know. What else, K9? What else? What else? That's my boo.
I'm gonna say this though. I really appreciate his patience and his willingness to persist, because like God clearly showed him that you were his wife, and he was like, I don't care what you talking about. God pretty much, like he knew. He knew. So it's nice to see, your friends that you love be loved correctly, or like, to be pursued in that way, because sometimes we don't see that. And just like you said, in your younger years, you only had two examples of marriage. I've only had like a couple too. So that can make you think like, this is not possible for me, or or you just don't even think about it. It's just like it's not even something you think about.
Self. That's what you
so
like, ain't nobody bringing no kids in this world. And especially the experience that I had with my oldest daughter's dad. and this is not me saying this to bash him or anything, but he definitely messed it up for every man. Cause I was like, oh nah, jeez, you think I'm gonna go through this again and this again? And granted, we were young, so we were both growing, but that one example traumatized me and had me label like the future people. And so even when I was dating, I was like, zero tolerance. You answer the phone, you gone. And so I say that because the marriage part is not just what's the word? The marriage part is not just to say, "Oh, I'm married." Matter of fact, if y'all see my hand, it's a little rubber ring right here because I be working out. Because I'm not even a material person. I mean, I had a ring, but there was a season I threw it away, y'all. But long story short, the marriage is way deeper than just saying I'm married, and it's also a reflection of just you working on yourself. Like your spouse is nothing but a image of you, a
Ooh.
reflection of you, and so I wax my little mustache, y'all, because he might reflect me for real now. But it's a reflection of you to see how you really are. Like, that's all it is.
That's why I say I think it's interesting when people like they're so ready to be married, and I'm like, you ready to do the work? Because
Yeah.
that's gonna be a mirror you can't run from. That man gonna be there when you get home. Like he ain't going nowhere. So you
Yep.
gonna have to deal with that stuff in the moment, or like it's gonna be in your face. So I think a
Yeah.
lot of people get married because they think it's cute and they think that Instagram is great. But I don't think they think about that work that you got to do offline, because
Yeah.
and y'all have been doing the work. So I'm very happy, like, to see y'all persist for real, because it's a beautiful thing. Like, almost all my friends are married. Like, I think I only got what, two or three of them.
They gonna get
And if
married.
they not married, they in a relationship. You know, like a real relationship. So I'm excited for that though. Like for real. So let's talk about a little bit about what you feel y'all's mission is. What do you think God has put y'all together for?
Okay, so I do know it's generational curses. Like we're breaking them. We just are. I can go back. His dad was an OG. Bless his heart. He about 70 something. He just now sitting down. But a cool person, got a cool father-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
But he only saw like his dad with different women. He saw his mom, with different men. So didn't see that. He had grandparents on his maternal side. He saw them married, but Granny was in this room, Grandpa was in this room, and then the rest of them were single parents. Same thing for myself. So one of our missions though is to show um people that look like us, which are African Americans too, but everybody, but to show them that it's possible to have an African American man in the home. And so that is to raise his children, and then that is for me not to be the angry black woman, right? So that's one of the things. The other thing is like we're so determined for financial like just like freedom, like
Mm-hmm.
debt free as possible. And so I don't I don't know a lot of people that talked about this. I started learning about this maybe in my 20s, and I do wish I was educated when I was younger. It wasn't a topic. I remember my stepmom was like, if you don't have the money, don't buy it. And I'm like, okay, I'll just go out and get another job. Not knowing like getting another job is just feeding my wants and just like things that I really don't need when I could really be investing and saving. So we do know that's one of the things we're doing, and I want to share this real quick because I almost start crying. But Honey Bun has an older daughter, and she's a 25, I believe. But she asked him a question because he came to help her to fix her car, and she said, "You never woke up early when I was little." And she said, "Why you always doing stuff early? Because if she needs something, he'll come do it, in the morning time."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Because me and Honey Bun always get up in the morning time, and that's when you do everything in the morning." And I'm like, that is a generational curse
Mm-hmm.
being broken, because though you couldn't do it for your oldest daughter, she now recognizes that you are changing. And so your youngest, she may not understand that right now, but
Yeah.
the oldest one is just like, oh, okay, you waking up early in the morning now, right? And so another thing is I always emphasize this to him and just anybody, but we are adamant about apologizing to our kids when we do something wrong. Like I'm all for it. Like even my oldest daughter, she be like, "You the only parent I know that apologize this and that." And I'm like, Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And if I was wrong, I take it back. But I'm not going to beat myself down because I was wrong back then. But I do want to be humble enough to say, I apologize for not getting it right. And so my youngest one, she's so funny. She'll make sure she be like, so let me tell you, you was wrong right here. And I will just wait until we cool off. But
you gonna tell me?
yeah, but she's so funny. But me and him are very adamant about that. And then last but not least, just being authentic. Like, this is who I am. K9 knows me. Y'all don't know me, but like, I really am funny, y'all.
She is funny.
But I love to make people smile. He loves to make people smile. And so I can tell you he has a strategic calling on his life. I feel like he's gonna come through and he's still been a little Jonah, but he gonna come through and shake some waves, and then there's gonna be communities change, and there's gonna be states change and cities. Like I feel that is what our calling is. So
yeah, look, first of all, financial freedom is one that everybody should be reaching for. But I love that that's on the list because your kids are gonna see what y'all put in action. And the good thing about it too is like these kids have access to everything at this point.
woo,
They have
click,
way more than
click,
us, way
click.
more than us. But being clear on what the mission is and the assignment is makes it a lot easier to like persist and do it. That doesn't mean that it's not a lot of obstacles in the place of you like trying to do it, but the fact that y'all have a partnership and y'all are working together to do it, well, I know it's gonna happen regardless because we know God is in it. He's in the center of it. So I love that y'all have talked about this and had these kind of conversations because some people may not even be able to talk about these types of things or even care to talk about them. So can you tell us like how these kind of conversations came about? Was it just like y'all were on the same page from the beginning, or like how were y'all able to like find this common ground?
No, not at all.
She said no.
So, true story. Honey Bun is from the country. I'm from the city. So, there it is, city girl versus country boy, right? And so, I think when we first met, because he is 10 years older than me. So, when we first met, I was 24. And so, I remember him saying this thing like, you really mature for your age. Now, remind you, I had already had money at 18. So, I was already in the game for about 6 years raising a kid. And so, because I stayed place to place, I was always adamant about I always need a place to lay my head. So my ultimate goal, even before I knew anything about financial freedom, I was like, you pay your rent, your lights, your what, you take care of all of this first. And then when I would get money, like large amounts of money, which is like school checks, y'all don't get them school checks like that. No.
Nah, we miss them.
And income tax back then they was giving racks because I didn't have no income.
Mm-hmm.
But I would take that large amount of money and go to Sam's and buy like books and stuff, this and that. And so I was always like trying to prepare for the future in a way, but I didn't have like a lot of money. And so he would say, well, what made you think about this? Do this and that. And I'm like, well, we only get a refund check twice a year. So like I gotta buy soap because we gotta wash our tail more than twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was little things that he would see me do. Or I mean, I started tithing. I mean, I know how people feel about that topic. Some people are like, oh, don't tithe because the preacher take your money, this and that. Me personally is like, if you have your connection with Christ and you understand, even if you feel like your pastor taking your money, you're doing what you were commanded by Christ. So
First
I mean,
fruits.
I know that's a different topic, but
No,
I
you
did
can
start.
please speak on that. Please.
I did start tithing, and I want to say back then I could remember like all my bills adding up to $800. It was like my rent portion because I had housing, I tell y'all that, but it was my lights and my water. And I remember only bringing home like $600 because I did work study in. I never got a disconnection notice. I mean, rent was paid, y'all. Like it was just banging back then. I was like, is this you, Jim? But
and is.
yeah, so as we came together, we used to argue all the time though, because he was like, well, I don't have no money, this and that. My husband had a lot of money. He just was going in a spiral. And not to say he was the only person. Like, I shopped, y'all. I used to work one job to pay bills and work one job to shop, you know. And so then I started saying, I don't want to go shopping no more. I want to go traveling. So I started shifting things. And so he got aboard because he knew, like, okay, she's going to take care of the, you know, important things. It was just us trying to figure out what to do with, like, the leftover money per se versus going shopping, doing this. And we still struggle. Don't get us wrong. We ain't like all the way there. But for him, he like, I feel like I need a steak. And I'm like, okay, baby, let's go get you a steak.
I feel like I need a steak.
I'm like, okay. But he just jumped aboard when I was like, hey, this is what we can do. If we do this, we free up this much money. We can go to Africa. We can go to Hawaii. You can get your truck. You can get your bike.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, he just purchased his bike a month ago.
Look at him.
I'm like, okay, he got him a Harley. Ain't brand new, but
it's new to him.
Yes, he was like, I never got the sign for a bike and this and that. I'm like, oh, okay then. So. It's getting there. A lot of times my oldest, she's a little salty because I won't send her no money, y'all. And I'm like, girl, you Uber every day. I'm like, you richer than me. Mm-hmm. But it's not no because she's grown. It's no because she's not in need. And I feel like I'm still shifting, paying debt off, student loans on halt, y'all. But this was supposed to be year 10 for me, K9. But we're going to see what God got up there.
Please, Lord.
Jesus. So I hope they answered the question on that part. We still growing. We still getting it together. But we both got that motto that if once we're debt free, it's going to help people. And I always tell people, because we are generational curse breakers, I feel like for me, I'm responsible for my mom in a way just due to her history. Recently, his dad was diagnosed with throat cancer, and this is like his third time. So remind y'all, if you will wind back to the beginning, I told you his dad used to be a doughboy. So doughboys don't have Social Security. And so he and his siblings have been shifting and taking turns on providing for him. Now his dad does have his own house. He just pays a lot fee. And so they are helping him. But again, if we don't have financial freedom, we're not able to contribute in that way that's going to help make people's lives better. It's not that you're just going to be giving that money like, here you go. But there's going to be some single parent, whether it be a girl or a boy, that's out there and it's like, I really can't make ends meet. Mm-hmm. And then God may bring them past, us, and we can't be like, oh, you know what? I'm still paying on this credit card, so I can't give you no diapers.
Yeah, look, that's why we are on these paths for sure, because I know that God is putting us there so that we can be a helpmates. Oh, not helpmates, sorry. So we can help other people. But I think it's cool too that like this is a good example of why men need a wife. Because women, we're very detail oriented. Men are very black and white. They like, look, I wake up at this time and we got to do this and that's it.
Yeah.
As a wife, you like, I'm thinking about XYZ because these are the things that I know we need, and you're not gonna look at it. So I think that every man needs to find them a good wife. If you are a husband already, we just gonna say that if you're a husband and you want to be a husband, find you a wife, please, because it's necessary. She'll maximize everything that you bring to the table. So
period. Give me some flour, I'll make you some gravy.
Do you feel like with everything that you've been through that you had to break a poverty mindset? Or do you feel like you were in a space where you were able to shift pretty easily when you first started learning about finances?
Wow, that's deep, Kate. Okay, listen, this is so funny. So I was on Section 8 housing. Money is 20. So I was on Section 8 all the way from, she was age like 18 months until she was 8. Mm-hmm. And so I can remember being so embarrassed, not because I had housing, but how they made me feel. I would go to my recertification appointments, and I remember one time I didn't have any income because I switched from like the hospital and I tried to substitute, but the income just wasn't right. And I was like, okay, I'm looking for another job, or I'm just going to go to school. Like I said, I'm going to focus on school. Mm-hmm. And I remember the caseworker saying, well, how do you bathe? And I'm like, how do I bathe? I'm like, the water. She's like, what kind of soap do you? I'm like, what kind of soap do I use? Girl, I use Dove, y'all. But anyways.
Why you talking?
Yeah, and I'm like, she asking me this. And so I am by no way like belittling any of my family, but I had cousins that were on housing, but they were having multiple kids. Like they got our family rolling, y'all. Be fruitful and multiply. I love them. But they were having multiple kids, and I was like, yeah. I was like, one was enough for me, y'all. But anyways, um, I saw mentally, I felt like they were trying to keep me in a box, and I'm like this spontaneous person. I always like to like do stuff and go out, and I'm like, housing has you in this box where they were like, oh, if you make this amount, then you have to do this or you have to pay this. And then my oldest daughter's dad was summoned to pay child support, and I'm gonna show you how the system is so rigged. So let's just say back then he was ordered to pay $100. That $100 would have to go towards my rent now. So it went towards the kid, and that's what they want to say, which is fine, but it will make my rent go up. And so even if he wasn't paying that next month, I was still responsible for the $100 that he didn't pay on my income.
Lord Jesus.
So I started figuring this out. Or so I would go for the food stamps and I would be in the office all day. I was like the first person. They'd be like 200, 205. I'll be up there from like 7 all the way to like 4:30 p.m. until they're like, oh, okay, you're awarded, $100. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. So the system had already just taught me like, this ain't what I want. And so I made it a mission that I was going to go to school. I was going to focus on school only. So hopefully K9 don't turn this in because I rigged the system. But I was like, the system gonna try to keep me. I'm gonna show the system how to get rigged. So I started going to school full time, which was college. And because I got work study legally, they cannot tax you for a grant. So I had that money coming in. It was only $400 every 2 weeks. And then I would like braid hair on the side. I told you I'm a hustler, y'all. So I would braid hair on the side to keep my bills within my budget amount. And so of course I had a car, things like that. So again, I say that because I knew then I just didn't want to stay in a box. And I'm like, it gotta be something better. And I've always been curious. I have my great aunt, which hey now Ray Ray, my cousin. So that I had the privilege of staying with. She was the example. She was the rich auntie. And so I'm like, oh, when I grow up, I want to be like her. And so I said it has to be something better than keeping me like just isolated. And so each set of apartments that I stayed in and housing, God is good, y'all. But I was the first person in it. They were brand new, like apartments. And I only stayed in apartments no longer than 2 to 3 years, y'all, because then how the system works is they will shift everybody there and the apartments will go down. And so I kept moving, y'all. I kept like bouncing around. Call it gentrification if you want to, but I was the one that was working. So I just think that mind frame changed. And then the other thing was how my stepmom was so frugal, like frugal, I can't even say the word.
You had it right, frugal.
It was 5 of us and she had no government assistance.
Wow.
And so we didn't miss anything. And then my best friend of 30 years, I've seen her, like my godchild is 16, and because she got declined for something simple as chips, she's never received government assistance in the time that she needed it. They declined her because she made $1 over the income bracket. So that financial freedom really comes from shifting the mindset of you're not going to label me and keep me in this box and tell me that I can make X amount of money when I have this much potential and I have the skills. As long as I'm exposed to like people, I know some people, things will get better. Now, granted, I'm not gonna have 6 figures in my bank account today, but I'm gonna work my way up and it's gonna take some time. And as the seasons change, I would encourage anybody. 6 figures may be a lot right now, but 10 years from now, because of the economy, that's probably gonna be equal to like $10,000. But if you are the person that's willing to invest, to save, to put back, and to actually sacrifice and compromise, that's the thing. That's the whole thing.
That's the thing.
Y'all see these 2 CD plats? But anyways, I ain't had no praise in a minute because I'm like, oh, I could save that little $300. I could really do my own hair, y'all. But it's some things that I just haven't been doing because I'm like, I really want to save this and put this here. So I got to tell myself no. So No is a hard answer for girls. I know it, y'all. I know it. I haven't traveled in 2 years. Catch me on a flight. I would have been on a cruise because I was trying, and I'm still trying to make sure I hit my goal.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is before I'm 40, y'all. I'm ticking.
Hey,
Ticking. I'm
she's
38.
gonna get there.
38 and a half. So
She's gonna get there. Look, it's the mindset has already shifted, and you're already wealthy. So I think that people, the mind is the one thing that needs to shift. And I think even if you had the money now, if your mind didn't shift, you would be in poverty.
you are so right.
You'll still be living like that. Like, I'm not gonna spend no money. I'm not gonna do anything. You'll be holding on to everything. So
Yep.
I'm just glad that you had the mindset shift first, and then now everything else will follow because you had that first. But
Right. You right.
you're right. I want to talk a little bit about God right now because I feel like a lot of this stuff happened because He made sure that He put you in certain situations, He covered you in certain situations, and He gave you a lot of family. Like you have chosen family, you got blood family, right? So
yes.
tell me about your relationship with God and how you feel like it's evolved over time.
Well, first of all, I want to give honor to the one and only, but no, Jesus Christ really is. He is my head. So I always tell people, I think I had the perfect life, and people will laugh and be like, what? And I'm like, I have never felt so loved in my life. Like anybody that I came in contact, and this is not me over exaggerating, like including you, K9. I think your mama loved me.
She loves you.
But
yeah.
I just had good people in my life. Like I can't even recall a person that messed over me despite, because my mom, she was in and out of jail. So I moved with different family members and everybody be like, come over. I mean, I had my little tomboyish ways, things like that. But when I was 11, when I was in the 6th grade, I dedicated my life to Christ. And so that's because at this time I was with my great aunt, which is Ray Ray's granny. She raised him. And then when I came over, I actually stayed with her twice in my life. But church was so like overrated back then. So it was 7 days in a week, and I feel like we went 8 days.
Every day.
But I was like, I remember, I was like, God, like, how many times we gotta go, to this church? It was like Monday was choir day, Tuesday was, usher day, Wednesday was praise dancing day, Thursday was choir. I was like, okay. And then, Sunday we was up there like sun up to sun down. And so I knew back then that Jesus was already like in my life. I just didn't know how vital I would need him. And so before I even accepted him, though, it was like he was already covering me. Like I can remember staying at home at times by myself when my mom was in jail, and I'm like 8 and 9, getting myself ready for school and just like moving on like it's normal, not acting up at school, y'all, because I'm like, these people gonna be in my mama's life, I'm gonna come to school, act right. But he was always there. And so when I move house to house, I will see people like praise dance and sing in the choir, and I'll be like, oh, I want a church like that where I can go. But I was never stable enough to be able to really participate in certain things because, people weren't going to take you back and forth like that. Not that it wasn't good people, it was just my situation. So fast forward, when I had the money, at a young age, I went to a whole different city, and you talking about Jesus, Jesus. I want to share this testimony. I don't know if people believe this, but there are really things such as angels. I went to University of Houston, was in the classroom of 300 some people, and I would take my baby to school and I would put her on my desk. On my lap underneath my desk and rock her, and she would never wake up. She would never say anything in class, and I wasn't even supposed to have her in class, y'all.
Wow.
But I had no daycare until Jesus sent a set of my basketball friends from a whole nother city, Brittany and Shawala, to the same apartments that I stayed in Houston. I'm like, God, what are the odds? Like, you move some safe people here, people that can work around my schedule to watch my baby. So that's one scenario. I get to University of Houston, and there's a lady that walk up to me. Back in the day, y'all, we used to look at Vibe. Y'all know the Vibe magazines. So she gives me this envelope, and I'm like, girl, I ain't got no money to order these magazines. What is she doing? And so I put it in my backpack or whatever. And when I get home, I'm like looking at it because back then the little envelopes had a little thin line on there. And I was like, oh, I was like, she sealed it up already. I'm like, how she know what kind of magazines I want? So I open it up and it's money in there. It's like $500. So we have class every other day, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I wait because, of course, I want to go and tell her thank you. Like, I need diapers, this and that. Never seen this woman. Never again. Couldn't tell her thank you. I searched for her. I waited. I looked in class. I was like, I never seen this woman after that. And I'm like, okay, God, at that time I had this list and I was like, money need diapers, she need clothes. I was like, I need gas, like all of this stuff. And like randomly I get this envelope. So I'm like, okay, Jesus.
God's so good.
So he is really, really, really good. And so I could go on about him, but there is no other relationship that I will put before him because it has to be like a T. It has to be Christ, your family, and then your career, or it's going to go in like zigzags.
Mm-hmm.
And so this will lead me to my kids. So everybody knows Imani's name. So Imani means faith. And so then I have Jania, and Nia means purpose. And so I have to have faith in order to know my purpose in this world, which is why I have my babies. And so even though it's been hard, or it was hard raising my oldest, I'm like, she is the one that kept me on my knees to keep me closer to God. And then my youngest one, she is more like, hey, I know you feel like the locust destroyed everything, but hey, you still got a purpose. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so there is nothing you can do without Christ from waking up. Like something so simple. I do want to share how prayer works. Fasting. I tell people this all the time. I know it's hard. If you can only do 6 hours, start out with 6 hours, then like increase. But God will honor those sacrifices because you are trying. Don't try to compare yourself to other people that's like, oh, I'm doing the Daniel 21 day. If you can't make the 21 days, baby, don't kill yourself. Like try a day and then increase 2 days. He's going to honor that. But that prayer life is only you connecting with God. Like the same way I'm talking to you, can I be like, Big Jesus, like you up there, like you hear me? I'm struggling down here. Like I don't know if I need to like try to slap this person or like walk away.
Real
Like,
talk though.
Like I talk to him just like there's no certain way. And so me personally, I don't really like the way I talk, y'all. But when people used to call me up to pray, I'm like, why they want me to pray? And I'm like, do you hear the way I'm pronouncing these words? But it's a simple conversation that keeps it flowing. I do remember God sparing my mom's life one time. I was praying, y'all. You talking about praying and crying, praying and crying. I couldn't find my mama for a month, y'all, a month. And so a boy from Stop 6 found, I ain't gonna tell y'all his name. Y'all might try to look for him. But he had a crush on me back then. And I was like, hey, if you really like me, go find my mom. So long story short, my mama's throat had been slit from the left side to the right side. And she had been in the hospital. And asked her, I was like, Mama, what was you doing? She was like, I felt like a presence over me. And I was like, when? And she was like, at nighttime. And I kid you not, I was praying and praying and praying at a certain time. Same thing. Fast forward with my client. Miss Rundee, you been praying for me? Every time you pray for me, the police catch me. I'm like, really? She was like, yeah. So she gets called, and so she breaks down, and she Hispanic and Caucasian, so it's so funny with her little accent. She breaks down, and I'm telling her every day at 3, Kobe is waking me up, and I'm like, God, what is it? So I'm like praying, just God, touch whoever, etc. She say, Miss Rundee, at 3, a gun was pulled to my head this day. At 3 this day, she was like, I was being drugged down, like all of this stuff, and I'm like, prayer works even when you don't see it working. Even for my husband, like, woo, you talking about praying, baby. And I say pray, P-R-A-Y, not P-R-E-Y. Don't be praying on pun nobody, y'all. But prayer works because me and my husband, we didn't have a good communication at all. I was like, oh, he don't understand. He get on my nerves, this. And I remember praying, asking God not for him to understand and do what I'm saying, but to hear me and hear the words that I'm trying to spit out and share to him in a loving way. Mm-hmm. And so when God came in and switched them words up, it was some stuff I was saying. I'd be like, I said that.
Did I say that?
I'm a new creation. So that journey with Christ is like the bum.com. I just realized this year is the 20th year I've been at my church, and I'm like,
That's amazing.
God, I remember praying when I was 11, saying I just want to be at a church where I can be like active and do stuff, and I can be stable. And like I've been here, like I've been stable, and I'm like, I see you, big Jesus.
That's amazing that you've been there for 20 years. Like, that's crazy. That you've been there since we were in high school, at the end of high school.
So I actually, let me tell you what happened. So so actually junior year, we had some friend. I had a mutual friend that used to go there, and he used to try to like recruit us over to go play old school against new school. So I used to want to go. And I'm like, oh, they had a basketball game, so anything we can do to play like basketball.
Yeah.
And then they had a flag football team. I knew nothing about flag football. I just wanted to do something because I was always just like spontaneous. And so I was like, oh yeah, you just want me to go to church so I can hoop? I'm on my way.
Mm-hmm.
So it started out that way, and I ended up seeing two of my middle school teachers that were there, and they still there to this day. My best teachers, Mr. Sharp, Mr. Moffitt. But it started out that way. So it was right? Like Christ still brought us together by bringing us together for something simple as basketball. And then when I moved with my godmom after I left my aunt's house, she actually went to that church. And so we didn't go every Sunday. We went like Easter, stuff like that. So I started going. When I moved back from Houston, I stayed in apartments adjacent from the church. So I started walking to the church. And so, yeah, I'm like, oh, so it's probably been longer than that, y'all. But a member, I'm going to say 20 years a member.
Say a real member, people.
Yeah,
like,
a member.
Look, that's what all that matters. She's a real active member, though.
There you go. Because
like,
if I die tomorrow, I'm going to get buried there. No, you ain't got to worry about where I'm going to be buried.
She got to worry about asking nobody to do her.
There you go. Take them tithes and offerings.
That's what it's like. You ain't got to worry about where I'm going to be at. My pastor know my name. So that makes a difference, though.
It does.
Because having that church family, that's another extension of your village. And I think a lot of people, even if you have had church hurt and things like that, I think a lot of people deprive themselves of that. And you need community. It's so important. You need community. I can't even stress that enough.
You said church hurt, but that's how Honeyburn was. He was like, you the first Christian I seen that's like real. And I'm like,
wow.
Even after I acted crazy, but people watch you, even the closest people. I didn't know he had church hurt. And I mean, I can say about that, but he's actually Catholic and telling the story. But I just want y'all to know religion is like man-made. It's the whole belief in what you believe in. But for him to actually tell me that, I had to go back and start evaluating. His church hurt actually came from his family.
Wow.
And so what people fail to realize is the church really is you. It's not the building. And
Absolutely.
so when I realized and put two and two together that it was his family, I'm like, that's where it started. If you're saying you're holier than thou, you're trying to call out people's sins, you are not Jesus, honey. Like, we got enough like sin in the day that everybody can call out, but
thoughts alone.
Yeah. The way you look at something, you done looked upside their head, you like, oh, I've seen this look, and this facial expression probably hurt their feelings, but that's real. Like that church hurt is real, but at the end of the day, it's God who heals that hurt. And that's a part of this world. We gonna hurt. Pain is just in the journey of everything we do. I don't care how good it looks, it has to have a season of pain.
Yeah, that's how you learn, though. The lessons, like, that's how you learn. If you don't go through anything, you're not going to think it's real anyway. Or you're not going to value it.
True.
So I feel like when you go through those different seasons, it helps you to just be more aware. And it's like God demanding your attention, too. Oh. I don't want God to ever have to demand my attention again, I'm going to be honest with you. But yeah, it's real important for you to have community because they're going to help you stay on your knees like you said Imani did. Because, we need to talk to God just like we talk to our friends. And that way we can learn more about his character and stuff too. Reading the Bible. Ooh, make sure you reading the word even if you don't fully understand it. I think it's interesting that you gave your life to Christ the same. I was 11 too.
That's how we knew we was going to be friends. Look.
That's crazy like that but we was in church 24/7, 24/8. Like for real. Like we clean the church pretty much. But I think it's very important for us to have time with God, dedicated time with him, fasting, praying, and all of that because it just makes you a better person. I would say it makes you do life better I put it like that, because it's not always about doing good deeds and stuff like that. You can't earn your way like that.
You are correct.
You cannot earn it.
I don't want to earn it anyway.
I don't
He
either.
already did his work, so
I do not want to earn it. But I want to ask this other question really quick. You mentioned that, like you said, Imani kept you on your knees and she helps you to just stay connected to God. Will you give anybody any advice about how to deal with certain teenagers that may challenge you a little bit, that give you a little bit of a push in different ways that you may not be so happy about?
whoop they. No. So I do not like to call kids bad,
right?
Because it's just not. It shouldn't be. But I say strong-willed kid because I know that eventually money will shift into God's calling, and He needs a strong-willed person for Him.
Yeah,
just got to be positive. But what I can say is, F them kids, forget them kids. Now, once you set the foundation, you live the foundation, you show them the foundation. Just remember, kids have their own mind. So they already have it set. They're going to do what they want to do. Now, I know as parents, especially the culture, we like, you ain't doing what you want to do in my house. And that's true to an extent, right? Like, yeah, you're not going to let them do drugs in your house. You're not going to let them skip. But kids are going to come into their own, like, individuality, like their person, and they're just going to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't lose yourself. Like, I feel like I lost myself enough for everybody. I started telling everybody that had kids after me, hold up. Let me tell you. Because there's no kid without you. And so keep living your life even when kids, give you the hurt and the pain. And so K9 probably didn't ask this, but when Imani left my house when she was 15 to go to her daddy's house, I'm talking about I broke down like a fetal position, baby. Like, no, that's my baby. And, she can't do that. And God had to keep like getting his stubborn heart turned. He's like, you're stubborn. He was like, it's also his child too. And I'm like, yeah, but I had a majority of the time. He was like, well, let me put the icing on the cake. She really my child. So I just loan her to y'all. And I'm like, ugh. And so, when it says let go and let God, you have to physically and mentally do that in order to stay sane. Now, does that mean you like don't care about your kids? No, but you go with the flow. Okay, you know what? Little CC over here skipping school after you done dropped her off. All right, now she got a truancy ticket. Okay, what you gonna do is you gonna work and you gonna pay not to go to school. So you have to just remember that when you have those kids that's challenging you, do like I do, get your trainer and stay in shape too, because Mike Tyson still. I always stay one step ahead of them. The culture is always changing. I'm so glad I work with kids, like I told you, because they kept me hip. And even when Imani thought she was like a step ahead of me, I was already there because I had already been educated. Mm-hmm. So anybody that has those kids, like, invest in them though. Like, don't give up. Still invest in them. Sometimes certain kids need more mentors, like male mentors. There are a lot of good women out here, and they've been taking on the role of a lot of men roles, not intentionally, and some of them they are. They're just like, I'm gonna do it because I've been doing it all my life. So some men, get some men mentor, healthy mentors. And so even if you don't have kids, if you are a believer, you are responsible for helping some kid to come across your path. And so it's not just the parent's job to raise a kid. It's if that kid comes in contact with you and you know right from wrong, you are to share that knowledge, empower that kid. So when that kid makes it back home, because they may not have that loving mom, that loving dad, etc., you have shared with them. There are a lot of great grandparents that are raising kids.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
literally. And it's not that they dropped the ball, but they don't have their help. They don't have their sight. And so what they did 3 and 4 generations ago is not per se, I'm not going to say it's not working, but they don't have the strength to reinforce what was working. So
it's a lot of distractions right now too. A lot of things that's taking those kids' attention. Yeah,
a lot. And so right now, Wookie taking advantage of being on social media probably while I'm gone, because she know I'm like, did you read a book? However long you on social media, that's how long you need to be reading. Well, I only read 10 minutes. I guess you only on social media for 10 minutes then. And so me and her go back and forth about that. She be like, well, my friends, doing X, Y, and Z. My
They don't live in
friends
here.
look like crackheads now, some of them, but that don't mean like I'm gonna allow you to do that. So again, my advice, especially to those parents who are single parents and you gotta work and make ends meet, put those boundaries in place and hold your standards there. Some people, family members, gonna be like, "That's too high. We need high standards." I was listening to a little session the other day, and he said in 2025 people can no longer be good because that's not good. You have to be outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Good is the minimum for you to get basically like the minimum results, but outstanding means, okay, I'm going to go up and beyond, and so up and beyond is I'm going closer towards Christ. Good is just,
The
you know what,
standard.
it's
It's
a
the
little
standard.
bit, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
So, and if you whoop your kids, I'm not against whooping your kids. I know some people be like, that's slavery mentality. If you have to spread a rod, go ahead, but do it in a healthy way. But whoopings ain't gonna always work. They just not.
Just
They're,
stop
they're
hurting after a
not gonna
while.
always, yeah.
It's gonna stop
And after
hurting
a
after a
while,
while.
they smell themselves. So still talk to your kids. One thing I love, 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 love about my youngest baby is she say I embarrass her because I do it at the random times. But I be like, what's going on? Like, do you got underarm hairs? Like, what's going on? Like, if you get a mustache hair, let me know because mama got one. But like, I talk to her about everything. And so she's about to go into 7th grade and I'm about to start educating her on sex. And so
Got
some
to.
parents are like, but why? And I'm like, really? I should have educated her in 4th grade
It's
because some
everywhere.
kids was doing stuff. But I'm like, talk to your kids. Like, if you don't talk to them, the world gonna talk to them.
Yeah.
And if the world is talking to them, they're going to implant more seeds in their head before you can come and pull out those weeds out of their head because so much has been implanted to be normalized.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely better talk to them. The world is gonna talk to them, even if they're not talking back.
But I be talking to Spanish and everything. Bueno, como se estás?
Yeah, I can agree with everything you just said, especially being on this side of it where I'm working with other people's kids. Because when I say I feel like God makes sure that they keep me on my knees, put it like
Yeah.
that. Because I'm concerned about it because their parents don't talk to them. And they look to you like they'll take anything you say
Yeah.
as truth. So I think that parents do need to, you have their ear first. So lay the foundation so they can know what truth is before they get outside.
Listen.
Well, I got 2 more questions for you, sis.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Bring it, baby.
You're doing good. If you knew then what you know now, would you change anything? Yeah.
I would. I would have waited until I was married to have sex. Really, I really would have. I know that sounds so cliche, like girl, what? But I say that because all of those years I was like, oh, I'm a virgin, and I was so happy about it. But then peer pressure came about when I detoured and started listening to other people talk about sex, and I thought I was missing something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't regret, having any money at a young age, just like in general having sex before marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, it is okay to be a virgin no matter how old you are if you wait on God, plan and you actually have sex the way it was meant and designed to be. And so it's bigger than that because when you have sex before you marry, I feel like people don't understand how real soul ties are. And so there is a little piece of that person left on you and you wondering why you acting like this or you feel this way. So for me, I think I would be like, you know what? They're getting these goodies. And granted, I still think I did good because I knew some people. I ain't trying to, say they sins, but
You
I was
did
like,
good.
at 12 years old, I was jumping fences. What was you doing on the
What was
pitch
you
whacker?
What was you doing?
So yeah, that will be the only thing I would say I would change. Because like you don't even know your body when you're young. Like nobody tells you, oh, don't drink too much caffeine. You're gonna have all these lumps. It's really not breast cancer because you done went in there, you doing all this like, and they like, girl, all it is caffeine. You go to the doctor, you like, oh, I didn't know. Or even when I was pregnant with Imani, I had a question. Somebody said, you knew you was pregnant because your cycle didn't come. my cycle would come every other month. And then when I played sports, I never had a cycle.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't even know my body before you go and you start throwing like your HP balance off, all of this. And I'm like, I should have took more sexual education classes because this ain't making sense while I'm having menopause at this age. But yeah, that's the only thing I would change. That's the only thing.
Look, it happened. You bounce back from it. You got a beautiful blessing out of it. And your life is grown. And she grown now.
No.
Our baby grown. You said she's 20, Lord Jesus. I feel old. I feel so old. But I'm okay with being older, but it's okay. All right. So my last question is, it's probably going to be the same answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway because it's the... So what is one life lesson you've learned throughout your journey that you believe makes you unstoppable?
All the way up. So I just think me being born in general, I'm unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
But repeat that one more time so I can make sure I got this right.
What is one life lesson you've learned throughout your journey that you believe makes you unstoppable?
Okay. So I think for me, it's always smiling. And the smile is not a fake smile or to cover up because I cry, I break down, I do all of that. But to know my testimony and to know my story and to still be like, man, she like really smiling. Like, I don't think I've had a person come by me and say, I don't want to be around you, you know, because you have an attitude, etc. Like, you would have never knew I went through so much because I always just kept a positive mind frame because in my mind, like I was like, oh, it's gonna get better. Even when it was worse, I've always said, oh, it gotta get better. Like I ain't gonna always just have $1. I'm gonna have $2. You know,
Right.
I always trying to make a joke out of something to stay positive. And so I know that I'm unstoppable because the enemy ain't gonna like that. I'm still smiling and I'm still praising despite of what it looked like, what it felt like, what it feels like. And so the other thing is just me being with Honey Bun, like, you know, just working this thing out. Because remember, I tried to run from him. But definitely knowing, like, my calling, my purpose, and then to come together with him and him to know his calling and purpose, like, boom, from the amplifier. Like, it got to go up. Like, it got to, like, that's the unstoppable moment right there. So
that's what Jesus put them together for. And I'm glad she submitted to it.
Oh, yeah, your mom was stubborn.
Well, I want to say I'm so proud of you. I really am. And I'm not just saying that. Like, you really do make everybody feel joy because you exude it all the time. So when I said that in the intro, I meant that, like, it's true. No. You can't come around you and not feel better or, like, feel uplifted because you just give people that all the time. So I feel like you just receive back what you give all the time. She's so silly. But I really appreciate you coming on here, being so authentic, being open, honest, and everything. And I feel like it's really going to help other people to be, you know, okay with being their whole selves. Yeah. So I really appreciate you coming on, sis. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you. Call me back, okay?
I will.
Time, okay? Call me back for a sequel. Call me back.
Come back whenever you want to.
I just want to tell everybody I love them. If you hear this, you don't even have to know me. Just know I love you. YouTheBum.com. You amazing. And one more thing to just like end this. Always remember you are not the only person that will encounter what you're going through. So even when the enemy singles you out, like I used to be like, oh, I'm a teenage parent. I wasn't the first. I'm not going to be the last.
Right.
There's going to be future. Whatever you going through, I guarantee you somebody else is going to experience that or they're going through it.
Right. That's why sharing your testimony is important. And no matter how bad it was, like God brought you through it for a reason. You experienced it for a reason. Just for that reason alone. Just sharing it so somebody can know that they can get through it too. So,
yep.
All right, y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
And thanks to Coach K for firming up the dough. I'm ready for the journey. So pray. I know there will be highs. I know there will be lows. Road to success got so many toes, but I'm ready for the journey. Yeah, I said I'm ready.